Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Max and Graps. It's been a while. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of you have been asking me when is the next episode of this podcast coming back. I'm gonna be honest. I actually didn't know if it was coming back. Not because I don't like to do it, but because life's been crazy. I don't have a lot of time. But New Japan has been so amazing this year. I just had to talk about what's been going on lately. So, as always, I'm your host, Larry Swinton, and today I have a very special guest. We have Andrew Thompson joining us today. How are you?
What's going on, Lyric? I appreciate you having me on. We had a what I would call a fantastic last 2 hours
Yeah.
conversation. And this was like probably the fastest 2 hour conversation. And I'm very excited to talk to you about some New Japan. I appreciate you having me on, Lyric. I mean this shit. It's been great getting to talk to you about like just wrestling and politics and all that stuff. Like I'm genuinely looking forward to this conversation, and I'm pretty sure we'll have more on different platforms in X, Y, and Z. So thanks for having me on.
Of course, and we'll definitely be having some other conversations. Of course, today, the topic of discussion, well, two topics of discussion. Number one, the outstanding New Beginning in Osaka show that we saw. Wow, so many amazing things happened. We're going to get into it, but we're also going to get into the recently released New Japan Cup lineup. And this year has potential to be maybe one of the best lineups that they've had in years. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this New Japan and Osaka card. We're probably going to skim through some of the earlier matches. There really wasn't anything terrible on the card, but just for the sake of time, we want to keep it for the big stuff. Make sure that we make time for it. But we started off with a pre-show match. We had El Desperado and Katsuya Morishima up against Francesco Akira and Jeff Cobb. Morishima, has been a part of like that young lion group that Tanahashi has been wrestling on this tour. So he had a pretty good showing against the Ace a few weeks ago. We have El Desperado, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Francesco Akira, who is his upcoming challenger for that championship, as well as Jeff Cobb, who's had some very interesting comments about what his may look like.
Yeah.
And so he said this might be his last time wrestling in Osaka. Who knew? Obviously, this wasn't a big match or anything, but what are your thoughts on some of the things we're seeing from these guys involved?
So I am looking forward to that match at the 53rd anniversary show between Desperado and Akira. Like I do think that it's I've always like been sort of waiting for Akira to sort of branch out. Like he's always been a part of, aligned with TJP and Catch 22. So it's kind of cool to now be able to see him sort of spread his wings a little bit and see what he could do in the singles division. I know when he was in All Japan, he was their junior heavyweight champion for a while. So, that'd be cool to see. Jeff Cobb, it's always tough with these things because sometimes it can be as, simple as like a wrestler trying to just, draw some interest and, trying to get some headlines and, just trying to spark some curiosity around their name. But also he can be very much telling the truth. But, he's all like, we're going to talk about he is in the New Japan Cup tournament. And, he possibly may be facing his young Callum Newman, maybe. But I'm looking at who he's facing. I don't think that's going to happen. But, you never know what can happen. But yeah, Jeff Cobb, like, I think that's a guy who I think any promotion would love to have a hand like Jeff Cobb. But I think more so, like, if we were just talking about, like, what could be next for him, like, if he is to finish up with New Japan, I think the preferred destination for his style and like what he can offer will probably be AEW. Like that's just the best overall fit and the most natural transition. So similar to Josh Alexander, the report that came out that he's likely going to head to AEW. I just think that's just the best option for him and what he wants to do. And also, I think I think so. I think Josh being at A, because he first of all, he's always said that he wanted to do a G1 and he's always wanted to like do different things. Like I think that it depends on, what you prefer as a talent in terms of like your goals. Like, and we can even bring Mercedes into the conversation. Like she's always wanted to do this and that and go to this place and that place and go to this country and, do those different things. And some people, they have that that in them where they still want to do these different things. And I think that Josh, like specifically speaking about Josh, I just don't see him being like, I can finish my career and not do a G1. Like I feel like that's what he wants to do internally, and he needs to get that done. So I feel like the way for him to do that is to go to AEW, and I think they'll highlight what he does best, which is in the ring. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, Lyric.
No, I agree. I think here's the thing. I've learned my lesson about believing a lot of these people when they say they want to do one. I think that's become kind of like a cutesy thing that
to say in the interview. Yeah, that's fact.
So like I like, don't get me wrong, I would be interested to see him actually do it. It's just like, are you actually gonna do it?
You want to do
it,
right?
You got to think last year Riddle and Nick Nemeth came in here and they was like, yeah, we gonna do exactly, no pop. So I digress. We shall see. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure where Josh Alexander fits in AEW immediately. Like, I actually probably would have liked an extended New Japan run first. But hey, it is
we'll
what it
see.
Is.
Yeah.
But as it relates to Jeff Cobb, listen, I think that Jeff Cobb has been absolutely phenomenal over the past year. He really stepped up, and I think has been carrying United Empire since Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
And I think that his TV title reign was really good. And I think, like, in a time of a lot of transition and uncertainty amongst the roster, he was one of the most dependable hands, I would say, that New Japan had in 2024. And that's just a fact. However, if he would like to take his talents to Jacksonville, all that I ask is that I finally get my dream match versus Samoa Joe. I need Samoan Joseph versus Hawaiian Jack. And I think that this is a stadium-worthy meat match. All in Texas needs a really good meat match on the card.
Yeah.
You need that big hoss fight. And listen, Samoa Joe and Jeff Cobb can give it to us.
Yeah.
And I want to say, even Jeff Cobb, if you decide to stay with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Forbidden Door,
yeah.
I would like to see it. Or we could do Wrestle Dynasty again. We could do it in the Dome. I actually wanted to see it in the Dome this year. I don't discriminate. I give you 3 options that fit all of your tastes. I don't think you have any interest in WWE, so it's really going to be between those two. But you have 3 options to make this happen. I would like to see it. No, I need to see it. It's time. Jeff Cobb was TV champion. Joe said he's the king of television. I think the story writes itself.
There you go.
So
I would like to see it as well. Let's do that.
Let's make this happen. I agree with what you were saying about Akira. I think like we've been waiting for him to kind of like accelerate to that next level for a while. And I think that in Best of the Super Juniors, not last year, but 2 years ago, that match that he had with El Desperado, and that really, I think it was one of the best matches of the tournament. I think one of the best matches definitely one of the best junior heavyweight matches that New Japan had done that entire year. But I think that there's been competition in the junior division with Kosei Fujita, moving up, and who also just had an excellent match with El Desperado on this New Beginning tour. And so I'm interested to see how Akira proves himself. It's interesting to see them switch up the format for, 53rd anniversary, because typically it's, heavyweight champion faces the junior heavyweight. But this year we're going to have that heavyweight champion face Tanahashi.
I actually prefer this format. Because I'm
going to be honest, it's only good if both the wrestlers are good.
Yes.
Especially, and I think like with Naito holding the championship, with last year, it wasn't really appetizing, to have the flip. It's cool, like when both, when both divisions are strong,
thriving, yeah.
Nice to do that. But I, like you said, for this year specifically, I much prefer what they have going on. However, Big Goto versus Desperado, I would like to see it at some point.
I think it's more so just harkens back to the point you just made. It definitely depends on who's the IWGP World and who's the junior heavyweight champion. But I think it's always good to switch it up, and I think that this is probably the best way to go about things, and like I think it also provides a platform for Akira, who, like you said, a lot of people have been waiting for him to sort of take that next step. I think that's like the negative to being in a great or a good or however you want to phrase a good or great tag team, whatever it is. When you are a part of that and you're in the thick of that and you have accomplished a good deal with your tag team partner, it becomes difficult for the people in these positions of power, the bookers or whoever, to sort of take you out of that and give you those opportunities that you need to show that you can handle yourself. I mean, Akira's he's been. I think he already proved himself when he was AJPW junior heavyweight champion. But like, I think that now this is like that little test for him right now, so they can see like, well, he don't only have to be a part of Catch 22. He can, like, if you need him, he can slide in and he can be that guy for you if you need him to. So I think this is like more so of a showcase for Akira, and I think that he'll deliver. I think that he will. Him and Desperado will deliver.
And I think like it's going to force New Japan to really, and I think we're already seeing that now with like obviously Eagles and Fujita holding those junior tag titles, but and even like Rocky teaming up with Yo, forcing the junior tag division to have new depth, because Catch 22 really carried that division for years. They really, I mean, and I know they did because we ran Catch 22 versus War Dogs at least 4 times. Then, like, you know, sometimes
you throw in a Kushida and Kevin
Knight, and we'll have like, you know, and so, but they were really the backbone of that division, you know, for so long. And then obviously, you know, TJP has some open weight goals of his own, and like, you know, Akira's been waiting for that singles run. So it's a lot of question marks, but as you know, fine pre-show match.
Yeah. Hey, real quick on the junior heavyweight note. Last time, I mean, my bad, but we when we talking about like that junior heavyweight division, like there is one person who I've and this is why I also think like the promotional aspect of how how companies present their wrestlers is so important. Like when you do like the little mini documentaries or whatever, like New Japan did this thing about Master Wato. It was like this 30-minute documentary that they had put out on their YouTube, and it like, dude, they like went and like talked to his like family, his fucking first grade teacher, like his high school classmates, and his mom, and like all like, and I'm like, and this is before he made his return from the ACL injury, and like I watched this whole thing, right, and I'm just like, oh, I care about Master Wato.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that stuff right there is like so important to like making people like, I mean, you again, there's always going to be different reasonings for your interest level in a wrestler or a character, whatever it may be. Some people it's just a wrestler, some people it's just the characters. But like when you can get more out of just your in-ring ability, and you can like show like these different characteristics and these backgrounds, where certain individuals come from and how they grew up and the things they've been through and like their mindsets as they made their way to whatever wrestling promotion they work in. That shit, I was just watching that. I was like, bro, like I kind of
New Japan does content like that better than any other promotion.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more when we get to Suji and Gabe, because the VTRs that they filmed heading into that, I think, were so insightful into their headspace heading into this. But like New Japan really does a good job with that type of behind the scenes content of really getting into like a wrestler's mindset and their background and how they became who they are. And I think like Master Wato specifically, he really needs that. I think because to be honest, think about it. If you are a fan of New Japan and you just start watching over the past year and a half, you don't know him for real. You know, you don't really know. So you missed his entire rise in the way that they built him, you know, through Best of the Super Junior. He came where he was supposed to be the true heir to the division, but then he gets injured. And then other guys like, you know, rise up to really kind of like face. Because wrestling is a star-driven business. Unfortunately, time waits for no man. And so like when one person goes down,
next person step up.
You know,
every time.
And so, no, I completely agree. It's so interesting. Like, I think a lot of these guys currently in the junior heavyweight division, they have very interesting stories. And I think that we're only now in the space for people to really be able to ascend. You know, you got Doki injured, Hiromu's doing tag stuff, you know, right now with Naito. SB is the champion, but it's very clear, like, you know, like this should be his last reign for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so it's time for those new stars to really kind of like emerge and not even just be next up, be the now.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Up next, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Togi Makabe. This match was a callback to Tanahashi's first match. And so Makabe was one of his seniors. It was a match that clearly meant a lot to him. And so, like, he's been really excited about. Now, as an actual match.
Larry, take it easy on the A's, man.
No.
On the A's.
Listen, I love Tanahashi. Listen, y'all. I was telling Andrew before this, so just y'all gonna have to strap me down and try to get away for Japan from his for his retirement. I love my Ace so bad. However, this was what it was. But what my favorite part of this match, what didn't even happen in the match. My favorite part was, I don't know if you watched the backstage comments from this match, but Tanahashi couldn't even help himself from crying. He was just like, on his retirement journey, so many of his seniors who watched him as a young lion, they've been congratulating him and telling him how proud they are of him. He just broke down crying. He was just like, that just means so much to him about like, and you know, and just, he said, I've cried so many times on this retirement road, but it really does mean so much to me. And I have so many memories in this building. And so like, I think seeing it become real to him is making it real for me. And it's just like, is his knees made out of chopped cheese? Yes. But at the same time, it doesn't even really feel like a New Japan card without Hiroshi Tanahashi. And so like, it's going to be hard to imagine. Obviously, he'll still be around, probably doing commentary. He is the president, but it's going to be different. And yeah, it's just, you know, this match was what it was. You know, I never expected it to be.
Right. I think that a lot of us are giving, like, and I mean, it's not giving him grace. Like, he's earned more than that. But I think a lot of us are, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know that Tanahashi is like literally fighting his body. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally what this is. Like, I mean, we talked about that during our 2-hour conversation before we start recording. Like, you can see like him going to the top rope or hitting certain moves. You can see him like wincing or like gritting his teeth. You can see like he's like physically in pain, but he's still, you know what I'm saying? He out there doing it. And like, granted, listen, every match ain't gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna hit. Like, but I mean, we have things to look forward to, like the match with Takeshita at Windy City Ride, you know, and
even like, stuff that he's done, I would say recently. I don't like, you know, on this tour, this New Beginning tour, he's been wrestling these young lions. And I think some of these matches were really good. I think the Sean Makato one was like, you know, really good. The Murashima one was fine. But I think the one that we were really looking into was Daiki Nagai. And that one certainly delivered. And, you know, they slapping the shit out of each other. I said, yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Yeah. And it's so crazy because a lot of times I think, especially if you're not watching New Japan shows live, a lot of times, you know, your instinct for the sake of time when you're watching it back would be to like skip those. But I will say with Tanahashi working these guys, I've made a point, like, even if I don't watch nothing else, I'm watching these young lion matches, and it's really, you see the potential that he sees in the next generation. And so I've been really excited just watching that. So like, you know, it was what it was.
Yeah.
But we move. Listen, Big Takeshi to give him a 4.5. Don't say that.
I think that we had talked about it before, but like I think that Tanahashi and Takeshita, that's gonna be one where like people after that they're gonna be like, you gonna see those tweets and be like, don't fucking forget he's still the ace. Like don't forget, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be one of them. And I think it's going, like, he's gonna have the ability to have this fucking beast Takeshita, and then Takeshita's gonna like how you phrased it, he's gonna beat the hell out of him.
Absolutely.
Tanahashi gonna fight from underneath. He gonna have his moments. He gonna be like, will he do it?
Be the best baby face of our generation.
Yes.
And I think another thing too is that one thing that he does better than so many other people, almost everybody else, I would say, is that even though his body isn't what it used to be, he's still one of the best, I would say, in-ring storytellers.
Yeah. He make you care, man. He
Absolutely.
make you care.
And he gonna make us care. And him and Takeshita, bro, so I'm excited on this retirement road. He's definitely gonna have some good matches. Some of them are not gonna be so good. And that's okay.
Yeah. Hey, look, if you had to make an early prediction, what I'm not gonna say his last match at the Dome next year, but like who's a name that you think is going to pop up as an opponent for Tanahashi that might surprise people? Just off the top of your head, I know that would like require like some deep thought, but like just off the top, like who's a person you think would come along to be a part of this retirement tour at some point over the next year that you think people would be like, oh shit?
I think the obvious name is Nakamura.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
Yeah, I think it's just contract status is the thing. But honestly, especially coming off of what we saw at Wrestle Dynasty, y'all, I need that extended Shibata match. Like, what you talking about? I need that extended, like, and that's how I know, like, too, of just like Tana's and Storks. If they could make me feel what they made me feel in 5 minutes of just chopping each other's tits off, imagine having a real match. Shibata is in my top 3 all time. When I say I love that man, and Tanahashi is, like, I believe one of the greatest of all time, and I love him. And so it's just like the way that they made me feel for like that 5 minutes, I can only imagine what they can do for a full match. I think another one of my dream matches for him during this run would have been Goto, but we're getting that. I'm trying to think of like who else would I like to see. Honestly, I gonna lie, bro. It's kind of scary me because he gonna try some bullshit. He gonna have like his last match be against like somebody like Shota Umino or something.
Yeah. And you wanna know what's crazy? Like I can definitely see him being like my last one. I gotta put one of these guys over. Yeah,
I think he might. It depends. You know what? Actually, and. It may not happen just because he's a foreigner, but after Wrestle Dynasty, I think it could happen. Gabe,
yeah.
I 100% think so.
That would make sense in a lot of ways. Like that I see that right there. I can see. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I can see like the full like year from now and like people putting the clip beside that of like Tana crying after the match with Omega. And then that being the first semblance of non-threatening Gabe Kid when he like opens up and shows that emotion to Tanahashi for accepting. Cause he's already like done that. I remember him saying that like when he was having his mental health issues, like Tana would like take the time to just chop it, FaceTime, chop it up with him and shit like that. So you know what I'm saying? Like let's roll with Gabe.
I think the story writes itself at this point. I think also too, I'm gonna be honest, like the way things are going, I could be wrong. I don't think Gabe is gonna win the world title at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that would be Suji's position, but they're gonna put him in a big time matchup, and I think like for that show, Gabe versus Tanahashi, it might be as big as you can go. If you don't get and I'm gonna be honest, respectfully, even if you do get a Nakamura, I don't think you win at Wrestle Kingdom. I think of just you need Wrestle Kingdom to be good more than you need it to feel nostalgia. And I think Tanahashi's a very proud person. Of like he's not gonna pull a Liger. He's like a Muto in the sense of he's not gonna do no 6-man tag as his last match or nothing like that. He was going to want that singles match, that 101. And I'm going to be honest, it's not going to be, let's pray it's not Shota. Some could change, but whatever. Right now, no. It's not going to be Narita. It's not going to be Suji because that's just not his story. That's not his mountain to climb. Yeah. It's not going to be Oiwa. It's not going to be, I think Gabe makes sense. And
it got to be Gabe, man.
It has to be Gabe. If it's going to be a young guy, which I think it should be, Because at the end of the day, Tana's responsibilities to this promotion don't end when he's done as a
Right,
player.
exactly.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, I think like
It got to be gay, man. And like when you talk about like the Nakamura front, like he had did an interview like a month or two ago when he was asked about that, like Tana's retirement, and like if he wants to be a part of it, and he was very like honest in his answer. He was like, "There's a lot of like political things that would like have to happen in order for that to take place, like."
100%.
AEW has a partnership with New Japan, and that will mean them New Japan working with WWE and collaborating in some shape or form. And like you just don't know the issues that could arise from those type of situations or whatever might happen. But if they were to come to some type of agreement about that happening, I think it would probably be like best suited for like a power struggle instead of like a
Yeah,
Wrestle
and I
Kingdom.
think they could, and I think
Yeah,
that they could have just. Don't get me wrong. Uh, a lot has changed since
you
2023.
you ain't fucking lied.
A lot has changed, but I will say Tony was very like amenable to collaboration for the Muto retirement. He sent Darby and Sting over to Noah,
I
and
forgot about that.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was right after that Muta just had the match. I mean,
But
Muta just had the match with
not.
Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony flat out said that, it's about Muta. Like, this is bigger than wrestling company. So, like, I have no problem, basically being collaborative for this. And so, especially when it comes to somebody like Tanahashi, I could see him burying the hatchet. And also, too, I don't think we know Nakamura's contract status. Like, will he even be? I don't know if he re-signed or anything, but like, who knows? His contract might be expired by the end of this year.
Yeah,
Who
you
knows?
never know. You never know. But I think you raised a great point about Gabe. I think if there was anybody that's should have that spot, like especially after the moment they had at Wrestle Dynasty, like that should go to Gabe. And if that it does, and if we do have that eventual Nakamura match, you can do that like at a power struggle. Because I feel like power struggle that's always been like the event where like the big name talent from outside of the company like comes in or whatever. Like even dating back to when Jericho showed up in 2017 at Power Struggle. But what didn't Danielson make his like appearance? Like it was like a video at
Yes,
Power Struggle. Yeah,
correct.
you see, like Power Struggle has always been like that. Even I mean, Kenny's deeply entrenched within the fabric of
Yeah,
New
but
Japan, but
Kenny
like
made his return at Power Struggle.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Mhm.
always Power Struggle has always been that event. So
Absolutely.
like, I can see them bringing out Nakamura and them having a match against Tana or whatever like that. But to your ultimate point, there ain't nobody but Gabe. Like at least right now, there ain't.
I think even like the fact that it's his last, like for last match, I feel like it has to be like a young guy, and I think
Yeah,
like it needs to be Gabe. And I'm gonna be honest, unfortunately, none of these guys they
they
like
ain't ready yet.
Shota would have been that person, but he's not there. And
Yeah,
and
we gonna talk about Mr.
we gonna talk about
Uno.
him.
Yeah.
Um,
But what's the name?
I was about to say that's my next.
No, we go. But like I was gonna mention like Naruto. Like see,
He's not him.
this is what we was talking about earlier with like the factions thing. Like I feel like him being in House of Torture has. I mean, okay. So at first I was like, okay, like maybe this is just like a vehicle for like him to just get some type of, you know what I'm saying, some type of oomph about him. Get some type of like. I feel like now it's to the point where it's like, dude, like we sort
He's
of lost the
firmly in
plot a little
Shota's
bit.
territory. He's in
Yeah,
Shota's.
he is it. Hey, Larry, I swear to God, it's sometimes like when I watch some New Japan shows and like I'll like dead. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like I'll dead ass forget shows like on the roster. Like I'd be like, oh,
No,
this show.
absolutely. It's in purgatory. House of Torture. He's in House of Torture purgatory. And I think the thing about Ren at this point, honestly, he was better as a Shibata cosplayer, but now it's too late. And I feel like it's too late. Everybody, and the thing is, you let everybody else come back from excursion, so you're not even just behind like a Shota or a Tsuji anymore, or Yuya. You're now behind the Oiwas of the worlds and the Bullets and Old Legs, and let's not even forget. We still waiting for Youngblood to come back from excursion, Oscar Lloyd and Yuto.
Oh yeah.
And so And then you got even like the current young lions. I think like people like Dyke and the guy who already look like they about to pop off. Like as soon as like you know that they're done as young lions. Of you're so far down the totem pole of just like I don't want to say it's over, but you're cooked.
It's going to take a lot of rehabbing of his presentation in order
And
for him to.
honestly, the biggest priority for rehabbing right now for the company is clearly Shota. And I'm gonna be honest, Ren's not gonna get that type of priority.
Yeah,
Like,
he ain't. But you could tell they like they're on that path with Shota. But we gonna get to him. We're gonna
we're
talk
gonna get
about yeah.
Next, we had Shingo Takagi versus Drilla Maloney. So we saw this match last year, but at the time, Drilla was still wrestling as a junior heavyweight. But if I'm not mistaken, this is his first singles match as now a heavyweight on the roster. And Shingo, hey man, they cooked.
They did.
I've been
this was great. I like this a lot.
I've been following Drilla since he was Dan Maloney. You know,
you remember that?
And
you remember that?
Yes, since he was Dan Maloney, you know, on the British scene. And I think he's come a long way. Obviously, he's been a tag guy and he was fitted into the War Dogs. And even though he didn't come up through the LA dojo like the rest of them, he really fit in with those guys. But he's really put it all together. He looked like a monster in here, especially against somebody like Shingo. I think like there's some guys in New Japan that if you really want to be that guy, you got to be tested. And I think Shingo's one of them, and I think Ishii is one of them.
Yep.
Goto was one of them. Yeah. And he passed the test, man. He passed the test. This was really good. And I think I was shocked to see him actually win.
Yeah, I was too.
But this is I think that he did need that win to submit him to be able to be a participant in this year's New Japan Cup, especially since it's his first year as, you know, an official heavyweight. Even though I ain't gonna lie, it's so funny that he had this match versus Shingo because both of these people were fake junior heavyweights. Never been juniors in the first place. Y'all, they trick y'all, man. Y'all, man. Shingo trick y'all, man.
Hey, I remember when they first brought Shingo in. And they like he got brought into the junior heavyweight division. I'm like, and again, I'm not. I didn't like that was my first time. I didn't start seeing Shingo's past work until after he debuted in New Japan, and then that's when I went back and looked. That was my first time seeing him when he showed up, and I'm in New Japan, and I was like, junior heavyweight.
He's built like a
sheep. Like, goddamn junior heavyweight, but like even with Drilla Maloney, like it's kind of the same thing. Like he always looked like a bigger guy. Yeah, so I mean, but in this match specifically, like again, like you said, I was kind of surprised to see him, like to get the win over Shingo. But like I think that those two, they work great together. Like it was like the thing I always love about Shingo matches, bro, is like he has this ability to make you feel everything that he put, like his strikes, a lot of his clotheslines. Like he's one of those like you can like. Not trying to be dramatic, but like you can feel that shit through the screen, like how hard he's hitting the person. Like I one thing I always love about Shingo, this is like not underrated things. I'm pretty sure other people notice it too, but like I love the way they hit the ropes, like how fast he and like the amount of speed that he comes off to hit the pumping bomber and shit like that. Like so it's like I think like you said it was good for Drilla to get this W so it can basically solidify a reason for him to put him in the New Japan Cup tournament.
He looks like a legitimate threat now.
Yeah, he does. Getting a win over Shingo, and also like Shingo's established enough to the point like with that he can lose and he'll be just as perfect, just as fine. So
however,
however,
I ain't gonna lie, since we making dreams come true, and I think like. At the beginning of the last year, I think a lot of people were just like, okay, well, if the new guys aren't ready, like guys like Zach have always been ready. Guys like, Shingo, Goto ready. Hey, man, Zach done won that belt now. Goto done won that belt again. I would like to see it. Shingo, especially in a non-pandemic crowd, yes, I still want it. I do want a IWGP run. In front of fans, but not when they can scream and chant. Don't know how we're going to get there. That's not my job. I'm not the booker. But
like, my thing is like, and I agree. I don't want Shingo to and it's nothing wrong with Ishii's position at all. But I feel like I feel like Ishii, like it's kind of what Goto was for a long time, like the
Shingo is
bridesmaid.
almost an Ishii territory. He is this close.
That's what I mean. It's like always being the bridesmaid, but never the bride, or
Neverland.
you know what I'm saying? It's always that, and I listen, Ishii, current Ishii, is better than a lot of wrestlers are in their fucking primes.
He's still a dog.
Still is to this day. But I feel like you got at least another 5 to 6 year window with Shingo,
correct,
where he is like high level, and I don't want him to just be like that guy where, you know what I'm saying, it just goes without another run on top. Like I feel like he can definitely, like, to your point, in front of a non-pandemic crowd, I feel like you put Shingo in any spot, he'll deliver. Like, and
that power struggle. I think that was Zak's best defense before the Goto match. Like that, that was his best stuff. Now I think like even if you don't even put him all the way to the top of the card, he should at least be out of Neverland. And like, I'm tired of wrestle for the Never Openweight Championship. He needs to be wrestling Yota Tsuji. If you saw that LIJ 6-man tag that they did last summer and the chemistry that those two had going toe-to-toe, Shingo and Yota Tsuji, there's so much potential there, and they still haven't had a singles match. Like, run, perfect time.
Larry, as much of a great point that is, he's going right back to the Never Openweight Championship. It's happening.
I mean, they could, but I think especially with Takeshita holding that belt now.
Yeah, that's another point.
But I think that that might change things. And also too, I think that Yota Tsuji is going to need some challengers who he can believably pin, but it can still be meaningful. And I think like there should be no such thing as a throwaway defense. Every defense should be meaningful in some type of way. And I think especially now that you started off on a draw with Gabe, like think about like who, like he's going to have to beat somebody. And so like who can he believably like set a high bar threshold as a wrestler against, but still like, beat them. I think Shingo's one of the only guys that come to mind.
Yeah.
And like there's a story there, with LIJ. And I think like, we'll talk more when we get to the tag match, but the dynamics of the faction are shifting.
Oh, it's greatly changed.
And I think like Shingo used to just be like the top guy behind Naito. Now he's honestly third in command as far as the heavyweights. And then we still don't know if Hiromu really gonna make the jump or not. Now that he's doing all these open weight accomplishments, these heavyweight accomplishments, and so like he went from rank number 2 to potentially rank number 5 in his own faction within a year.
Yeah.
So there's a story to be told there. Up next, now we talk about Shota Umino. I ain't gonna lie. Now he's been getting hog-tied for a minute. Yeah. He's not a great showing at Wrestle Kingdom. We know that. Nothing really to write home about. He kind of shit the bed. I mean, to be quite honest. In the main, the crowds turned on him. They're not rocking with him the way that they used to. But Great O'Khan specifically has made it his mission to call him a loser and let him know that he's a loser every chance that and he's been trying to cut his hair a lot. And this time, he kind of succeeded. Well, before he could really do it, Shota took the clippers himself and shaved his own head. I ain't gonna lie. It was like, what, 4 a.m. at this point? I started screaming. I said, ah! I ain't gonna lie. When people, especially, I'm still young enough and old enough, though, to remember when Britney Spears shaved her head in that place through that glass window when I was growing up. And so, like, whenever people take them clippers, they just start shaving their hair like that.
PTSD.
That just surprised me a little bit. I just like, that's my prayers. But clearly, it's a big shift. Clearly, he knows something has to change. Clearly, New Japan knows something has to change with him. I would also like to give a shout out to Great O'Con. I think that he's looked fantastic these last couple.
Man,
Ever since he retired the KOPW championship, then Great O'Con has looked great. He's performed really well. Um, and I think he looked like compared to last year's New Beginning in Osaka, I remember when he looked like an absolute geek trying to hold that title up in Okada's face. That KOPW belt, like Okada wanted it,
right.
versus now he feels like a legitimate force.
You want to know? I actually enjoyed the I wanted to make sure I looked it up to make sure I had the event name right, but the Destruction and Kobe match that he had with Naito, like I know a lot of
Yeah,
people were like that bullish on it, but like I think that I enjoyed it because I had like low expectations for it, and like again, it's an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. I think when you have those matches, especially with the history of the title and all that, you should definitely want to have a great showing whenever those title matches happen. But I just wasn't expecting much from an Okan Naito match, so my expectations were very low, and I think that's how I was able to get invested in it. And I was like, oh, this isn't like as bad as I thought it was going to be, and that's why in my mind, that's why I think it wasn't a bad match. I think it was actually like a really good showing. So that was like my first. Like, I mean, I think O'Connor's had like solid matches prior to that and good matches before that, but like that was like one of those where I was like, oh yeah, look at Great O'Connor, man. But like with this specific match against Shota, like yeah, I think that everybody can kind of see that Shota needs like this is that rehabilitation that we was like referring to earlier. This is that same thing. He has to go through whatever he has to go through, whether that's shaved head, a change of presentation, change of ring gear, change of whatever. Something needs to shift for Shota, and I think that this is the beginning stage of that. And I think it's good on New Japan for not just being like, well, let's just truck through. Let's just see what happens. Like, nah, just give him the complete overhaul, man. The people have rejected him. Like, and even when he shaved his head, they started chanting his name. They started going Shota. So like, maybe that's a sign that they're
the
kind of
people
seeing like,
want to love him. Like
yeah,
I think you have to think out of all the young lions of his class, he's the one that we got to know the most
yeah, that's
from
true.
his affiliation with Mox, and even
That's
once he
true.
went on excursion, then the affiliation with Osprey. He's the one, and even like to his daddy, Red Shoes. He's the one that we really got to see grow right in front of our eyes, and so like we all had such high expectations for him, and I think that's also why everybody is so harsh on him when he didn't meet those expectations, was because more so than anybody else, he got the big matches. He got
Yeah,
to wrestle Osprey, and like when everybody else, they like for a long time, we have to remember the young guys were not able to really have those big matches and wrestle like the big guys in the division. They were not able to have those matches. Okada wasn't taking no matches with the young boys. Naito wasn't taking matches with the young boys. Like Shota's one of the only guys that really started to get like those big opportunities, and so I think that's what's made it so frustrating that it feels like he hasn't capitalized on all of those opportunities. But
mm.
I feel like at least like they're actually acknowledging that there's a problem. What I'm interested in though is like, do you repackage him at home or do you send him away? I think I've heard a lot from
Mm.
people saying that he needs a second excursion. I'm gonna be honest. This is a sidebar. I think New Japan need to stop sending people to the UK and America, period, for excursion.
Mm.
I haven't seen a successful UK American excursion in years. Yoda Suji went to Rev Pro and still said he didn't learn anything, and he took himself to Mexico.
Yeah.
And so I think Oiwa, who I believe is the true
What they call him? His nickname? What they call it?
the grip.
The grip.
The grip. Listen, I knew he was a star because I followed his journey in Noah, and I like he got so much main event experience, and it's clear like he already came to New Japan at top.
That was when he got invited by Kiyomiya to the
Yeah.
to Noah, right?
he did the rare domestic excursion. And then you have people like, you know, Kosei Fujita and Bolton Oleg who didn't go on an excursion at all. And they are clearly ahead of the pack. And so I think like New Japan, I'm sure Tanahashi already knows this, there's some real interesting conversations that are need to be had about excursions. Because I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people were just like, "Yeah, send him to AEW and let him work with Mox." Have you seen what Mox doing right now? Hell no.
I don't think that's gonna be beneficial to him.
No.
I feel like he'll just be like lost in the background. But like what you was talking about, like that, I knew it was in 2023, Kiyomiya had invited Oya to Noah, and that's when he went on that thing. Yeah. So but yeah, with Shota, it's like I think you may be right. Like maybe it's like just a situation. Like maybe just like go do Noah. You know what I'm saying? Go there for like 6 months, 5 months, whatever the situation is. Like I think that it's a situation of like it could be as simple as like absence makes the heart grow fonder. Like maybe the crowd just need to not see him for a little bit. You need a overhaul, and maybe New Japan is not the place for him to do that. So yeah, maybe it might work best if he does go to a pro wrestling Noah.
I think they should, and I'm not even saying that Noah's the answer because Noah be having their own shit going on.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like maybe a domestic excursion, like you know, I'm a big All Japan fan, or like you know, he's too big for Dragon Gate, but I think that there will be a significant level of humbling himself that he will have to do, especially after you've gone from wrestling in the dome to obviously these promotions are a bit smaller. But I think like there could really be a benefit. And I mean, like some people are like send him to Mexico like Naito. I think the problem is that Shota never had his own sense of identity. And so what you don't want him to do is go to Mexico and become Naito Part 2. Nobody can do Tetsuya Naito like Tetsuya Naito, you know? And I think I don't know, he's just such a curious case right now. Like, you know, you could, you know, try to like rebuild him like, you know, in front of everybody. Or you could send him away, maybe knock him out of the New Japan Cup, bring him back for the G1. You know, kind of like what Jack Perry did last year. Like, you know, he spent like, you know, what, those 2-3 months in Japan. I have a hot take. I've never like written this down before. This is like my first time saying it out loud, but I think that maybe it could be fruitful to send him to AEW, but not with Mox. I think that there's a lot of potential of setting him up with Shibata. With Shibata was also a musketeer, you know, of his generation. And I think that it was Shota being named as a musketeer, but Shibata was the one, he was the rebel. He was the one who always wanted to go his own way. He wanted to do his own thing. I think that maybe he can learn a lot. And I think with Shibata's current placement, working with somebody like Samoa Joe, you know, with
I was say Shota Umino on the ops, man.
you know, maybe I'm saying, hey, if they let Hook in, they can let him in.
Yeah, that's facts. But like you want to know what? Like now, I mean, I wouldn't be against that. I can definitely see that happening, and I could also see it being like somewhat beneficial to Shota. But like, I just think right now, like I genuinely don't know like what they can do to like just get this full, like you know what I'm saying? It's like he's just like in a weird spot.
Like you know, it's really no perfect solution, and it's just also one of those things to where I mean, every human being has value, but it's like, is he even worth it? And especially when everybody else has accelerated so quickly, like, you know, and everybody else has really made good on all the goodwill and all the investment that was placed into him. When you see Suji, when you see Gabe, I think of like Oiwa had a really great showing at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
When you see these guys who had the same 24 hours. I hate to be that person. Well, when you see these guys that had the same 24 hours and less opportunities than him, but they've already made good on it and they've shown results, it's some really uncomfortable conversations that have to be had. But they're probably not going to give up on him. So, like,
no, you can tell Shota is like highly valued because I like again, if he wasn't, they wouldn't have acted this quickly on this. Like this year, but they would kind of let it just like sit there, and he probably would have just been like stuck in like that the opening tag matches or shit like that. So people, you know, forgot about him enough to where they wanted to see him again in X, Y, and Z. But I think this is the start of maybe something good for him. Like I just don't know what exactly that is or how they get there. And
Well, he
like
gonna
you said,
start by burning them pants.
he need like I mean, and it was even a point like when people was like saying like he was like little baby Tana, like trying to like mimic Tana's, his ways and all that X, Y, and Z. Like
He
again,
into it.
I that's what but like even like I think it's more so like a lot of what you just said. There's like no perfect solution about this situation. Like even the AEW conversation, like if he goes to AEW, then that like forces Tony had to insert him into this storyline into this group where it's clear that the ops are supposed to be this trios team that is going to be contending for the trios championships. And then when you throw Shota in the mix, not saying they still can't do that, but you have to find some other story within that, which will likely end up being with Shibata. And then that will like sort of divert attention away from the ultimate goal of this group. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it kind of just defeats the purpose of it in a way, but it benefits New Japan. It's a partnership. So, I mean, you kind of doing good, but like at the same time, it's, you know what I'm saying?
I think
I don't
also
know, man.
too and like you said, there's no perfect solution. I think, and this is also the problem with AEW, and it has nothing to do with booking. It's the schedule. AEW isn't WWE. There's no house shows. Literally, he'd probably be booked maybe once or twice a week, if that. And there's no guarantee that you're wrestling every week. That is obviously he's been wrestling New Japan a long time, so he knows what the schedule is. But like the AEW schedule is not going to actually prepare you for the type of life that you're going to be living. To be a top guy in New Japan, you have to do everything. You have to constantly, literally live on a bus. Almost typically going from show to show. You have to do media. You got to think of all the commercials and like mainstream stuff that Tana and Naito, but Tana and specifically Hiromu are always doing. They're always doing those type of things. It's not even it's not just going to shows and handing out bracelets and hugging the kids. You also have to be responsible for putting on some of the greatest matches that people have ever seen, because that is the New Japan standard. There is no just, oh, that was a good match, 3.5, in the main event. Woo! People expect the king of sports, but you have to be able to do all of it. And so the AEW schedule specifically, that's why you see a lot of guys who have already worked these crazy schedules and then they come to AEW. But for Shota, I think doing that and then going back, who knows? He's in a very interesting spot. And I know that, I don't know if you saw the backstage comments for this, but Gato Khan flat out said, he said, yeah, and this is for calling yourself the ace. Said, don't ever say that again. I don't never want to hear that word out your mouth again. The only ace is Hiroshi Tanahashi. Don't you ever call yourself that again. And that's just real at the point. I think that he kind of had, counted his chickens before they hatched. And he ended up with egg on his face. And so
I also think like the Ray with Three Musketeers thing, like I feel like that put a lot of like unnecessary pressure sometimes, like especially like when we looking at what like Nard is right now. I feel like that, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that did put like a lot of, maybe not even a lot of pressure on them, but like a lot of fan expectations of like what the next several years of their career would be and their trajectories. And it's like, when you do that, when you slap that label on individuals, now you kind of have to push them. You can't have this, like everybody's not going to rise to that occasion when you call upon them. Some people need these extra years. Like Suji, he has arrived. You know what I'm saying? Suji's here. Suji's here now. Like Narada, he a little late to the party. Shota, he was at the party, but then we had to kick him out, and now he got to find his way back in. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different. It's different. Like again, everybody's not going to rise to that occasion. Now you have situations like a Suji where you throw him the ball and he gonna catch it, and now Suji's in the position that he's in, and he's like at the top now. So,
and I would also like to give Suji credit of he wasn't perfect.
He wasn't.
There was very clearly, and there still are, I think, a few holes in his game, but he had most of it from the moment he had enough of it from the moment he returned from excursion to let everybody know that, okay, if we just keep putting him out there, he's going to
You gonna
develop
figure it
into
out.
what
Yeah.
we need him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that's the difference. He, you know, and we'll talk more about that when we get to that match. But Tsuji, you know, if you can have at least 3 out of 5 things you need, we can get the other 2.
Yeah.
You know, you can have like some of it we can get, but damn, you coming out here with 0 out of 5 and you want Tokyo Dome main events. And I think the thing is they kept giving it to him. They kept giving it to him. I'm
Hey.
not gonna lie. In that respect, New Japan Pro Wrestling deserves what happened because y'all kept giving him the ball after he.
What was it? Power struggle when he came out and the crowd booed him before Ricochet attacked Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. I think that should have been like a clear sign that like, man, these people
motivate him.
Yeah, I know.
They thought it would motivate him, just like the same thing when they originally dropped the press release of the Reiwa Musketeers. They did that to motivate them. They thought it was like, okay, this is gonna light a fire under them, etc.
Mm-hmm.
This reverse psychology shit y'all doing is not working. They will embarrass you. They will embarrass you. Should've did all that, then took a pic, was posting pictures of himself crying on Twitter. Please. Enough.
She talking lyric like have some self-respect, motherfucker. Like,
please. Listen, and the thing is, I am a naturally emotional person. I die right now before I ever record myself crying. Are you crazy?
Rewatching it posted it on the internet.
I'm posting it on Beyonce's internet?
Hey.
It ain't gonna have nothing else. They gonna have some audacity. Jesus Christ.
You talking about some fucking audacity, man. Sonata boy, Lord have mercy.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, hear me out.
Hear me out for Sonata?
Hear me out.
All right, you got it.
I acknowledge that Sonata's world title reign was not great. It was very lackluster, very boring, very not very classy, not very demure. But I was really impressed by his work when he came back from injury. I really liked his G1 run. I think he had some really great matches. I loved the match that he had with Zach, at Royal Quest. I feel like he really did some really great stuff. Even when he first switched over to joining Bullet Club, like I was into it. I was like, okay, I'm rocking with you, turning on just 5 guys. Now just 4 guys. Building this program with Taichi. In fact, I really wanted this match to take place at Wrestle Kingdom. I had hoped that this match would be on the Wrestle Kingdom card because I think that they had been building it for a while. I was really looking forward to this match. On Twitter, I even wrote a list of the top 5 matches I was anticipating heading in to New Beginning Osaka, and this was on it. However, all right, what's that? What's that? I forgot the Bulls documentary series. What did he say? He said, I met the criteria.
He's like, I thought I met the criteria for that. Isaiah Thomas.
Yes, Isaiah Thomas. And so,
hey, bro, go the fuck here.
And what I hate is being embarrassed. After I done told people, I done told people about you. I done said, I'm looking forward to this. Man, and here's the thing. I know people got it on the outfit. I liked it. I felt like it was camp. He gave the girls something.
That shit was ass, man.
It's camp. It's camp. I grew up a Lady Gaga fan. Okay, it was giving Fame Monster. And so my girl just released that Abracadabra. I said, okay, he's tight in mother. I felt it. We felt it. Willow felt it. We all felt it. Sonata, man.
Like the thing about Sonata, like, I mean, but Sonata is a very capable performer. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes, he is.
he's a very capable performer. But I feel like with Sonata, his entire career, when you look back at it, will always be like it'll always be this conversation about his like the character presentation, right? And him like even when he was what was the nick like the skull like Cold Skull Sonata, right? The appealing thing about Sonata back then when he was in Lij was he was like the silent killer, right? That was always the appeal about Sonata, and people loved him for that, right? You transition out of that to where he goes off and does his own thing, lines with Just Five Guys, form Just Five Guys, right? And it's like you get this new presentation. He's like wearing more colorful gear. You know, he's out a little bit more out there now. He's speaking a little bit more XYZ. You know, even on the media front, he's doing more interviews, right? And you know, you divert from that. I mean, he got the IWGP World Title run out of it. You can have your different conversations about whether it was good or not, or whatever the situation is. And now we're at this point where he is a member of the War Dogs, where you got David Finlay, who is clearly on his way to being on top, and you got Gabe, who is clearly on his way to being on top, and then there's Sonata.
And I think also, don't even forget Jake Lee before he went down injured.
Yeah, I forgot about Jake Lee. Oh my goodness.
I think the thing is, I think that a lot of people who only watch New Japan probably forgot about him because he wasn't around that long. But like I've been watching, I watched Noah too, so like I followed his entire journey.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things to where like I said, man, Sonata trick y'all, man. We started so strong. I don't know what happened, y'all.
You want to know what about Jake Lee? Like I really did like forget, because I mean it was that I know he was out injured, and like the first time I heard of Jake Lee when he was in All Japan, mm-hmm. He was like him and Kento Miyahara. Yeah, it was like those the dudes over there, and then when he made his debut for Noah, what was that at the New Year show? I think it was that same show that was the same show Nakamura wrestled Muda at, right? Yeah,
Muda, yeah.
That was that same show, and then eventually made his way to New Japan. Like a lot of people have been like predicting for a while that Jake was going to show up in New Japan, but like,
Jake is he's very much so like how do I say this?
A traveler,
ambitious.
Yeah, he
very much has a goal of where he wants to be, and I kind of like. Part of me, I respect it. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I fuck with it too.
Is he a great wrestler to be doing all that?
Nah.
But they let him do it.
But you wanna know what's so crazy? Like even like I didn't see like a lot of his GHC heavyweight title run. Like I would see like
I did.
I would see like matches and stuff like that. Like it I'm talking about the match quality wasn't always like, what I'm saying? Like it was just kind of, he was champion though.
It was not good. It was not good, and I think we should say it more. It was not good. He was in there doing anything, man. I'm talking about just dragging out matches, and then what? One of my biggest pet peeves is when wrestlers, they already know that they're having bad matches, but they insist on them being long.
I hate that shit, man. Wrap it up.
Jake Lee is a very long-winded wrestler, and that's why I'm glad that New Japan immediately put him in the tag division after the G1, because I felt like that was a much better use of him. But I do need people to know when he comes back, he is a very long-winded wrestler.
Yeah. So yeah, but going back to Sonata, man, like it's, like I mean, again, I would never have a knock on Sonata's his in ring a bit, because we know what he can do. Like when Sonata's locked in, you know what he can do.
It's just, why doesn't he do it? I think that's the thing. Because I know what you can do, I get so frustrated when you don't do it. I think some people can't But when I know that you can and you choose not to, that is what really grinds my gears. And I think I was really excited for this match because I know what he is capable of. But this wasn't good. Like this wasn't good. And I will say, and this was on a card on a night where I really felt like just about
everything was going to be a banger. Yeah.
Like even the Shota and Great O'Khan match wasn't like a standout, but it very much so put a lot of things in place and set up different things. Like everything had a place. If Tetsuya Naito had a better match than you in 2025 on a card, we need to have some conversation. I think
Lyric in the big 25.
In the big 2025, I think it's time to have that conversation. I think we should talk about it. And I don't know, but the biggest part of this match, honestly, happened after the match. And Yuya Uemura returned.
Yeah,
and man. I will say, Yuya look. I tweeted this. Did anybody? Is it just me, or did Yuya look just like Kento Miyahara?
A little bit. I think it was that you know, so that hairstyle.
Yeah, you know, the swoop.
Yeah, the swoop.
The hair, even like what he had on, like I was just like, this is something Kento would wear. But that was the biggest thing coming out of this match, and I am very interested to see where Yuya fits in. Now, first of all, he's jacked. He's huge, already big, but
I think that's the thing. A lot of times when you have, like, I think you could clearly see they had a direction for Yuya.
Absolutely,
and then especially that, and then when you get hurt, it kind of, you know what I'm saying. Now they got to find a way to slot you back in, and I think that this is just a way to, like, you know, something to ease them back into the fold. I think by the maybe after the G1 this year, like I think that he'll be like back in that like in a prominent position. You know what I'm saying? I just think that they just finding a way to, like, to ease him back into the fold. And you know.
I think I'd go further. I think that he's somebody to really keep an eye on in the New Japan Cup this year. Yeah. I think he could really have a good run. And I think, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they resume. I felt like he really could have headed towards something with Takeshita coming out of the G1, but especially now that Takeshita's under contract, with everything that we now know about AEW, like with this international championship tournament, I think, like, one way or another, Takeshita will be losing that championship by Revolution, and I think that that's going to set up the stage for. I think he's going to have an extended run in New Japan for a couple months, and so, you know, while you have him, you really want. I don't think that they're going to put him up against Tsuji again. I mean, they could. They're currently 1-1. You could. That could be a good Sakura Genesis match.
Yeah. What's that? It's April 5th, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Genesis? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know, that could.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you say that. Okay. Yeah.
Or, you know, you can do something, or you could have Yuya challenging for the never open weight. You know, so there's a lot of different things that you could do, but I think that he's somebody. I don't think that they're gonna wait to, like, do something with him until the G1.
Yeah, to the G1.
Because honestly, I think that this year's G1, the guy that you really need to be pushing and establishing is Oiwa, because he didn't do this year. Because this is his first one. Like, I think that's the guy that really needs to be established this year. And I think this year's G1 was Yuya's coming out party. Of course, like, don't get me wrong, I think Yuya might win it all. I mean, you know, him going down with injury was obviously not the way that anybody intended or anything. Right. I don't think that they're going to wait, because they don't have any time to waste on these guys anymore. You know, like, they don't
that's also another good point. That's also another good point.
Like, no more.
I'm looking at the field right now and, like, how it would, like, play out. I don't think that's a bad call, Lyric. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm talking
we'll get more into it.
Yeah. You're right.
But no, I think, like, he has a good shot. Mm-hmm. Next we had the IWGP Junior Tag Championships on the line. I loved this match.
Yeah,
this was great. And I will say, even though New Japan has been pretty rocky, I would say over the past year, the junior tag title matches have probably been some of the best stuff the promotion has been putting out.
yeah. You remember that match that the War Dogs and Kevin Knight and Kushida, and I think it was a 4-way if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I'm talking about?
Is it the one from?
What was
Power? No, not Power.
That was I think that was the night when Suji challenged for the world heavyweight title. If I'm not tripping, I know it was a 4-way, and it was I remember Suji and I think it was the night. It wasn't Mox. It wasn't Mox. I'm tripping. Somebody showed up at the end because I'm thinking about Sakura Genesis last year, but it was some event when it was a 4-way for the junior tag titles, and that shit was heat.
Yes. Wait, no, this is not. I'm looking at MLP. My fault. Oh my gosh! Now that I'm looking at this up on Cage Match, bro, they really did have the same 3 teams wrestling each other over and over and over and over.
Yeah, they was going at it.
It's actually kind of crazy. I know which show is this. I know what you're talking about. They really did trade the belts back and forth between the same 4 guys. That is nuts.
I'm trying to. What was it? Was it King of Pro Wrestling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What was that? Yeah. Okay. It was King of Pro. I must be tripping about the 4, but I remember it was some type of. I think I must have got that mixed up with yeah. So, but regardless of what the situation was, there was like a long period of time with like these junior, like how you said, these junior tag matches, bro. Like they was like just, they was going crazy. And then and the fact that we even with this conversation that little snippet we just had, where there were like multiple instances of which one of these bangers are we talking about? It's very indicative of like the state of the junior heavyweight division, junior tag division right now. Like they got some options, man. They got some options.
They 100% did, but I like that at least these two teams that they're not as overexposed to some of the others, so this still felt fresh. But this was really good. I remember I tweeted this and I said, like, for people who only watch AEW, you have no idea how good Rocky Romero actually is.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This makes me a reminder, bro. Rocky really like that, man.
There's always a part of me that I kind of feel. I mean, Rocky's had a great career, but like there's always like a part of me that kind of feel bad for him a little bit because like you see him on American television, and it's like a lot of people that. Like they didn't get to see like when he was rocking and rolling with Trent, man, and they didn't get to see those. Like Rocky was the man, So
I think also too and that's just kind of like one of those things in life of just you get so sometimes you're so blessed to be like multi-talented, and I think
that's another thing. Yes,
because he is grown and like he's become so valuable in other ways. The actual wrestling part of his wrestling career. It has kind of taken a back seat, but in 2023, Rocky Romero was a top 5 wrestler in the world on his CMS run,
oh yeah, I forgot when he was doing that stuff with Volador.
And so like it's one of those things too of just it was really nice to kind of like see him get back to that, and even in his backstage comments he talked about how like this year he wants to be intentional about reminding the world who Rocky Romero is, as a wrestler, who Roppongi Revice is, and that, reminding everybody that he really liked that. And
I'm about to say, two front. I ain't mean to cut you off, Larry, my fault. But like, yeah, two front office jobs. Like that's.
People don't get it. There was a time where he was working actively with AEW, New Japan, CMLL, and still doing MLW on the side as a wrestler. Like the man is unmatched. Like he's doing all sorts of type of, I don't know. He is the forbidden door. Like
he is.
He said
I,
it all together.
I was about to say, and being the liaison between all these different
Absolutely.
places, I feel like, you know, when Rocky's career is all said and done, like I think people will give him his flowers, man. Because like to have that type of work ethic, like it's kind of what you was talking about earlier. Like you gotta want that shit, man. Like and then
He got cool with everybody. I ain't gonna lie. You know how many egos and stuff is in wrestling? To be cool with that many people, think about like the different cultures and language barriers
yeah,
of all these
yeah,
people, like between English, Spanish, Japanese, like all these different types of the Mexican style versus the American style versus and not even just American, but American television style. Streaming's involved. Then you got the Japanese style. Like you're dealing with this, and like you helping them interact with other promotions. It's so many different moving pieces, and you still trying to be a wrestler too, and that's not even counting anything you may or may not have going on in your personal life of just. That's a
that's
lot.
true. That's true. Yeah, man.
But
But yeah, food. Yeah, they do. And but yeah, Fujita and Eagles, I enjoy. I enjoy them. They do what they call the Ichiban Sweet Boys. I always just refer to them as TFD.
Sweet boys.
I always just refer to them as TFDK, but yeah, the Ichiban Sweet Boys. I'm enjoying them. And I really like that Tokyo Terra ladder match that they had at the Dome. I thought that was real solid as well. And yeah, I'm interested to see like where the rest of this division goes. Like, have you seen any? I haven't seen any updates, but has there been like any updates about Kevin Knight's status? Like, is he? He's the. See, I always look at it like this. No update can be a good thing, but it can also be
I think the thing about Kevin Knight too is that how did I say it? A lot of people always want to talk about like like this person like they're jumping the gun or AEW like took this talent or WWE took this talent. I'm gonna be honest though, if New Japan loses Kevin Knight, they deserved it.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
That's like one person on the roster to where. And you got to think he was in LA Dojo, and especially you seeing Clark and Gabe and all them being unicorns, and like even like other foreigners like Akira getting like the title shots, and Fujita just fresh out the dojo has already gotten like a singles IWGP Junior Heavyweight title shot up. Kevin Knight's got none of these things. Like none of these things. In fact, he's maybe getting like invited on maybe 2 or 3 tours a year, and maybe 1 or 2 of those. I would say maybe 3 to 4 tours a year, and only maybe 1 or 2 of those may be the non-junior tours. Of course, he's going to be on Junior Tag League Tour. Of course, he's going to be on Best Super Juniors. But to be honest, he has never been utilized properly, and if they lose him, they 100% deserve it.
I wonder if it's if it'll be like a similar situation to the one that Aussie Open had, because I remember there was a point when
absolutely
when Fletcher and Davis, they were like we want to be here, but like the question is, are y'all gonna commit to us and offer us deals? And New Japan was like, nah, not right now. And now they in AEW, and now Fletcher is like fucking booming. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think that's very real. I think that's probably what it is too. And it's just like, if you in this position, what would you do? You know?
Facts. But I think it's also from New Japan perspective, like, and I'm curious to know your thoughts about this. Do you think it could be like a situation of like where they like they like sort of expect Zach out of everyone? Like, you got to move here, and we need you to be like, we need you to be here in order for us to like give you that contract. Because like Zach full on, like he committed. So like maybe that
to an extent though, like
to an extent, not fully, but like
why would you? Are you giving people incentive to move there?
That's the other thing.
Are you giving people incentive to move there? Like, if you're not inviting me on the tour, like for example, if I'm not on the New Beginning tour, if I'm not being invited on the New Beginning tour, then why would I? Like it different stuff like that. Like why would I relocate from my entire life? Because it's expensive, and I think it's one of those things, especially on like the type of deals that they do. Like they only sign it from 1 year to 1 year at a time. So it and especially when you see like I said, other guys he was in the dojo with have been invited on these tours. Of Clark, shit, Drilla wasn't even in the dojo, and he's on every tour now.
Mm-hmm.
Clark, Drilla, Gabe, like all these guys are, that he came up with. They all getting, the opportunities, and so I think it's one of those things too. Of don't get me wrong, I would love for Kevin Knight to stay in Japan, even though, like, I have like my fantasy booking for AEW. We hurt people, I think that he could do so much, and like even watching him every tour that he does do, you see the fans really love him, and like they really are connecting with him more and more. Like during his Best of the Super Junior run, like look in the crowd, like they doing the shades and everything like he doing, like they got signs, like they are really invested. But at the same time, wrestling is a business, and I think that especially now, there are wrestling companies who could genuinely use him. NXT could use him.
Yeah.
AEW can use him. Like, let's just be real. He is the perfect fourth man for the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, he is.
He's the perfect fourth man.
I feel like there's been like a lot of talk ever since the group like officially arrived at AEW about who that next person should be, or who like maybe like you never know who it could be, right? But like I always. Like I remember even like for a while people were even talking about like Ricochet for a little bit, but I feel like Ricochet's like, especially when we see his character progress, I feel like he's fine, like where he's at.
He's fine, yeah.
Like Kevin Knight is probably the best option, like in terms of somebody that can benefit, because I feel like you need that like that young whippersnapper, you know what I'm saying, a person who has a different in-ring style from the other guys in the group. Like you need that. Like I mean, it's like it really is like essentially the same. Like
it's evolution.
It's like essentially the same like formula that it was like for the Hurt Business and WWE. Like Cedric was so different in ring from MVP Sheldon and Bobby that it just he was like that young guy who they was trying to toughen up a little bit.
He was just like the junior heavyweight. I think having like
exactly.
Somebody who jumping out the gym of just, let's just be real. And I think especially like thinking like Black people, Black fans, what we gravitated to growing up. Who are our favorites? Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, right? The people who jumping out the gym. Even Shelton Benjamin, even though like he wasn't exactly a cruiserweight, but he was doing all the crazy athletic stuff, jumping out the gym, like Kevin Knight could easily be that person for this generation. Like he has all the tools to be that type of wrestler. And I think, like you said, he could benefit from it. And I know like Cedric just got released from his contract, and I'm sure like somebody's going to push for him. But I'm going to be honest, like I think that I don't want it. I mean, I'm not saying don't sign him. I mean, like if you can use him.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, but like I think like it needs to be
somebody else could benefit from that. Kevin Knight could benefit from that spot, man.
And even if it's not Kevin, even if it's somebody like I could even get down with maybe like a Anthony Bowens or somebody like younger talent who I think genuinely could use this to get to the next level. Because like I'm gonna be real, in Black wrestling standpoint, this is like the only faction maybe ever of full of world champions / Hall of Fame level all Black wrestlers. Whoever gets that spot, they will essentially be passing the torch. They will inherit the kingdom. Will be a future Black world champion. That's the way that I see it. Whoever takes that spot, and so like you can't squander that. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to say like Cedric's time is up. He still has plenty of years left on his career.
Yeah.
But this needs to be somebody who's waiting, who already has all the potential, who's been bubbling underneath. All they need is just that one thing to like really.
I wouldn't be mad at the Bowens thing.
No,
like, I really would.
That was my first pick before, honestly. Because I try not to fantasy book people who are signed to other companies because I think that's the quickest way to get disappointed. That's the quickest way to get disappointed. So like Bowens was honestly like the first person that I thought about. Especially like coming out. You got to think he's already has this crazy connection with the audience already.
Yeah.
He's always like been super connected, and especially like now that he's broken off from Caster and everything, like he's just waiting on that one thing, like that one thing, whatever that one thing is gonna be, that's gonna really like take him to, like the next stratosphere, and this could easily be that thing.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Like, but I've always wanted to see like how AEW would present Bowens as a singles talent. Like, and then he even came into the company. He always had that nickname, the 5 tool player. So like it'll be like really interesting to see how they make that transition to Bowens being a single talent. We've seen like, Caster taking his approach. He just getting his ass beat. On the weekly basis or whatever.
I think that this year he shouldn't win, but I think they should put him in the Owen, and he should have a decent run in the Owen.
Who, Bowens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Do you think that should definitely be like, if he just to go on, like if he were to join the Hurt Syndicate, like I think that should be that, like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like pre you joining, like I think it'd be cool to see Bowens just, what I'm saying, do his thing on his own, let him show what he can do, and give him a good little run in that turn. That's actually a really good idea. Now that I don't know.
Because tournaments, I think New Japan, they're really good at this. I think of tournaments is really how you build several guys in one time, and Owen is now clearly AEW's like New Japan Cup, and Continental Classic is like G1, and so hey. But I digress. This was a really good junior tag match. I forgot, did they announce who the next challengers are?
Who came? Ishimori and Robbie X.
Yes. Ishimori and Robbie X. And so Robbie X is like, fully Bullet Club affiliated. I still don't know. Are they? Ishimori is a War Dog now, so I'm assuming Robbie X will be blessed in.
Yeah.
He come back. Next, hey man.
Woo. hey, Lyric. I'm listen. I like this Oleg, man. Oleg Bolton.
That's
I like this guy.
Boy.
I like this guy, man.
Boy. Vin, my boy. Literally, I thought he was special. Listen, we should have known he was going to be something special. His debut as a young lion was at Wrestle Kingdom 17 in the pre-show. So, like, he won gold. He was Tanahashi's tag partner. He won the never,
6-man. Yeah.
Him, Tana, and Yano had them quarter zips on. They would do the squatting and shit, like, but he came like from the night one of the G1 and him like fleshing out this presentation. I think that he is a superstar. I truly believe that he will be the next foreign winner of the G1 Climax. It's not gonna happen.
I can see that
in the next 3 years or so, 3-4 years, but he will be the next foreign winner, I believe, of the G1 Climax tournament.
Yeah.
These two had already had a really good match in the G1. This was even better.
Yeah.
Takeshita just walk in every place he in like he owns it.
Three companies, man.
Three companies, and he's snatching chains in all of them.
Big Tate, stop playing with him, bro.
Stop playing with him. Big one, okay? He's snatching chains in every company, every continent. For him to have a banger like this, and then by the end of the week go on to team up with Kyle Fletcher versus Omega and Ospreay, drop another hit, an even better match. He is not one of them.
I'm telling you, man. Takeshita, that's the dude right there. That's the dude.
He got that dog in him.
I'm telling you, like it's like, bro. It's like every it's not even every so often, but it's like every once in a while, right? Or every cycle or whatever. You have a guy like a Takeshita, and I'm not saying there's anybody like him, but what I'm saying is there's always these guys. These guys that just you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even convey the words right now.
I'm gonna be honest. They're not the same, but he reminds you a lot of like a Kota Ibushi.
I can see that. I can
You
see
know
that.
that guy
I can
who,
see that.
and I especially with the DDT background, the double contracts, now triple contracts,
Mm.
and just having like just freakish
Hey,
ability.
hey, Larry, triple contract is crazy. That's
Crazy.
crazy. Triple con. This
Triple
man got 3
contract.
contracts. but no, I think that just goes to show you like how in demand he is.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that you are able to have 3 different companies. Like, brother, we need you to sign this paperwork.
Ace of professional wrestling.
He
I
is.
truly believe he's an international
He
ace.
is.
And to do that at what is he, 29?
They testing young man. He a
29.
young dude.
Like, this is only the beginning. And I will say, I think that they're doing a really good job of like spacing out these 3 contracts of like that's why I said like I'm 100% on board with him losing the international championship at Revolution.
Yeah.
Especially he gonna have a banger with Kenny Omega, then he gonna go back to New Japan, he gonna have bangers again, then he gonna come back, gonna do bangers again, he gonna do bangers in DDT, he gonna do bangers everywhere. Because that's just the world that we live in now. This is Takesha's world. We just living in it. This was amazing.
I actually like how because I mean the way that DDT is like they're like sort of last on the totem pole when it comes to this like access to Takeshita, even though like that's his home promotion. I think that's like a really cool aspect. Like he'll show up for like some of their big shows, like he'll pop in here and there, like he'll be like the Wrestle Peter Pans and saying the
And
stuff like that.
and he'll do like their American shows too.
Yeah.
Which
He'll do
really
those.
anchors the card, especially because like for Vegas, they're not sending a lot of their top stars. And so he's probably really gonna anchor those cards if he's on those Vegas.
I remember he had did the they did those joint shows with Defy. I think the DDT they did those joint shows up in Seattle. I think he was on that show. I think So let's the man to catch it like he's like a fucking specimen. Like are you good, Larry?
No, I was gonna say I think it's really cool that DDT is probably the organization that he wrestles for the least, but it's clearly the one that he cares about the most. Like he
very much
he makes it his mission to really carry that DDT banner with him. He feels like that representative, and it's very clear. And even too, like in the lead up, it's so funny because I went and rewatched some of his G1 run for fun. I was just bored. And I rewatched the El Phantasmo match, and I watched the post-match comments afterwards. And that was where he was saying, he talked about how him and El Phantasmo had been friends for a long time, and that he how much he appreciated the match. He also said I got some other business here that I can't get to right now, but I'm gonna get to it later. He said, Hiroshi Tanahashi, I'm coming for you because I want revenge for DDT. Like, a lot of people don't even realize it. That is what that entire match that we're going to see at Windy City Riot is based off of comments that Tanahashi has made of DDT in the past. This is truly Takeshita showing up as the flag bearer for DDT, defending. He feels like he's defending, his home's honor against Tanahashi. Like, that's truly what the basis of this match. And I can't wait. They haven't really started releasing like the VTRs and like the video packages for it yet, but it's going to be great. Like when they really start, like, as you were saying earlier, in relation to like Master Wato, but he really carries that banner on him. But I think this being his first New Japan title, because it certainly isn't the last, it's so great. He really embodies that never spirit. Like, the never open weight championship is the perfect championship for somebody like Takeshita. Like,
it is.
This is the championship that Shibata, carried, that Shingo carried, that Ishii carried. He really reminds you of so many of those people. Even too, when I watched that match that he had at Collision Homecoming, that main event versus Shibata.
Yeah, with Shibata. Yeah, that was nice. That was fucking nice.
Tears in my eyes. This is real music. This was just amazing. I loved this match. And if I wasn't already on cloud 9 afterwards, my precious, amazing big grip Oiwa
Oiwa.
came down and said, "I want next."
You killing me with the
No, because I have to do it every time. The grip, you got.
There it goes. But not like again, like with oil, and you had talked about this off air. Like you like again, he's one of those guys that you can clearly see. New Japan is like that. That's probably gonna be like our again in that same lineage as like the Ishis and the Singos. Like it'll be that fucking never open weight warrior. You know what I'm saying? And
I
can
think he's bigger. I'm gonna be honest.
yeah,
I think I think that's where he gonna start though. He gonna start there.
That's what I meant. Like that'll be like his sort of launching point. And whenever they do this match between him and Tate, I'm telling you, shit's gonna get serious real quick.
I do believe that they're either Yuya or Oiwa will be the Sakura Genesis match if they don't run Oiwa earlier. If they don't do it sometime in March, maybe
I can see that.
The New Japan Cup tour, right? Because
you want to know what I can see? I can see them doing like because again, I think you had brought up like an interesting point about the sort of the timelines about like Takeshita possibly losing the international championship at Revolution. If he is going to be like doing stuff consistently for New Japan, I can see them running the oil match at, like you said, as Sakura Genesis, and then maybe Takeshita gets the W, and then they can run it back like a Wrestling Dontaku the next month or the next couple of weeks. But again, it was kind of like to another point you brought up, like I mean, if you want to like go in with these dudes, man, do it. Like don't fuck around with it. Don't try to wait. Don't try to delay it. If you're gonna do it, do it. But also, I mean, if Takeshi's like, hey man, my schedule kind of free. Like if y'all want to, hey buddy, come on in, let's do it.
Like honestly, until they really don't need him for real in AEW for real until the Owen.
Yeah.
They really don't need him, until I would say the Owen Hart tournament. That's really like that's the one thing about this 3 contract. It's gonna take you can't do everything at once. And so like and he's still establishing himself on the New Japan side. So I do think like he needs to spend some significant time there. And I think like he's definitely going to, but this like, bro, Oiwa just means so much to me. Like, y'all don't even get it. Bro, like, I remember I had tears in my eyes during Wrestle Kingdom. Like, that shot they had of him walking into the Tokyo Dome, and they had it from behind, and he had that bomber jacket. Like, it felt like it was very akin to almost like a Jumbo Saruta. Like, he has that old school Puro feel of like the old timey greats, like the old timey like horses. I feel very similarly about him that I feel about like Sorry, about how she feels like the old school Joshi's. Like she was old heads. Like, bro, my God. I just y'all don't get it. Y'all just don't get it. We're so bad. My glorious like, and I will say this is the part of the show. Like, I was already having a good time, but this is where I'm sure other fans could ascend from this match on. This is where we
shit was fat. Like, and for real, it was even. It started with the junior tag title match.
No, that's really.
That's when shit. But you want to know, like, I love these type of formats because it's like you are making the talent sort of have to. They have to deliver because like you see a banger. Fuck you gonna do? Go out there and deliver a dud after somebody else just went out there and killed it. Like you
absolutely.
I think it puts that positive pressure to make the card continue the trajectory that it's on, because you don't want to be that match where everything is heat and then when you come out you stink the joint up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was also
proof of, I hate to say it, but that's how you know that Shota has been demoted.
Oof.
That's how you know that Shota's been demoted, because like about like the card structure of, it's like the juniors always really get the party hype, especially like the junior tag division. We saw it like, hell at Wrestle Kingdom, with the ladder match. The juniors really get the party going. So when they put that junior tag match where it was in the card, that was really where they expected everything to ascend. And the fact that Shota was before that is proof that like they know that right now he's just not him. Like he's just not him. I kid you not. It felt like once by this match, I was already floating. I'm like, am I delirious? Am I sleep deprived? Am I just having fun? Oh my God. I said, but and then I was just, I think I said at least in like 4 different matches, how can we possibly top this?
Right.
And then guess what?
They
We
did. Hey, Lyric, hold on. Let me say this real quick, man. The Bucks, these motherfuckers pissed me off, right? Because they were clearly like, I mean, and I even saw them say it in an interview where they were talking about like they like purposely had these like not so good matches because like
bro,
and
oh my
they
God.
fried me with that shit. I'm like, first of all, number one, why
Don't
did
ever
y'all
do
think
that
that was a
again.
good idea? Right? Don't do that again. Who the fuck told y'all that was a good idea? Because like I swear these last 2 matches that they had in New Japan, the one at Wrestle Dynasty and the one and this one at the New Beginning in Osaka, this is the Young Bucks right here. These motherfuckers like
Nicholas Matthew Jackson, my glorious EVPs, my glorious goats, my goats have returned. Niggas in school in the
like
barber shop talking about some young bucks ain't this, young bucks ain't that, young bucks ain't no hit 'em. Oh!
hey bruh, like so that's what no, so like the Young Bucks they fried me with that shit when they did that. Larry, you a fool, man. When they did that interview and they was talking about like, we kind of like purposely had these matches with the fitting with the EVP thing and make people think we didn't get like. I'm like, first of all, like that was a horrible fucking idea.
Why would you do
But
that?
but again, this match and again the shit was only 9 minutes, but like, dude, this was fun. It felt like it was always on go. Matt and Nick, like again that like I don't know what I don't know what it is, man, but I feel like even with Kenny, like, and again, I think Kenny has had a lot of great like and notable matches in AEW, but dog, it's something about Kenny in New Japan that's
Them
like it
boys was
is.
jumping out the gym.
I'm telling, and again, even with the Bucks, like just even though it was just 2 matches, I wish it'd have been more, honestly. But like
They said
seeing that,
they said they want to come back though. They
yeah,
said it.
they did.
Comments that
Uh-huh. I remember Nicholas saying that. He said, I mean, Matthew, he went on like a longer like version of it. And he talked about like how it was like good for like his mental health and he felt good to be back and all that stuff. Like it kind of made me wish they had stayed because it like I feel like when and this is more so I get it from Kenny's words and I think it's kind of the same for the Bucks is that when you don't have to come to the arena and do show prep and you ain't got to worry about this person's entrance and that person's entrance and formatting and commercials and X, Y, and Z. I feel like when they don't have that on their mind and they can just like all they got to do is just show up
and be wrestlers.
yeah, all they got to do is show up with their suitcases and wrestle. And these are Kenny's words. He said it's something about that just makes it easier to just lock in. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was that's like what we saw with these two. And that they have like you could clearly see they have great chemistry with Naito and Hiromu. Like it's clear as day. Like it wasn't even like some feeling out process. It was right back. And like I really like this match. I really enjoyed it. And again, I wish it would have been like a longer stint in New Japan, but I understand at some point they're gonna have to go back to AEW. Now, wherever they fit on that front, I just hope that they sort of revert to what we've seen from them from these 2 matches over the last month. Like I really would like to see them as this in AEW. And it only remains to be seen. But I really enjoyed this match, man. Like you said, this was like from that junior tag title match on down. This card was like fucking heat.
Amazing, man. I think I'm a big, huge Bucks fan, and I really enjoyed their work towards the later half of last year. Like I think they still, even like last year, and I think like that's the difference between being a great wrestler and being a goat. And I don't think people understand is that even on your off years, you still have to perform some of the best stuff that we've ever seen. Like I think about like Kenny's 2023 was like that. That was an off year, and he still had several of the greatest matches of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes's 2024 was like that, right? Of just like a lot of weird stuff happening throughout the year, and she still had several of the best matches we've seen. What, this decade in women's wrestling? Several all-timers. And I think the Bucks were very similar of just like, a lot of the stuff, like, some things were hit or miss, and they still managed to have like, some of the best, tag matches that we saw. They had all-timers last year. They had legit all-timers last year. But what I really loved about this New Japan matches that we got from them is that it felt like they were having fun. And I think like the Bucks,
it did feel like that.
They're one team. And I think the Elite as a whole, and you could even see it like with Hangman in the Swerve stuff. And I think especially coming after all that brawl out stuff. And I think like, Kenny and like, when he's in New Japan, it's been so rare to see these guys having fun. So when they are, you could tell because their work is just on a completely different level when they're genuinely invested in the stuff that they're doing. And then second of all, bro, these motherfuckers are huge. Specifically, Matthew Jackson. He had talked about it. He's really been focusing on his fitness, but he was not lying. He is swole. Like he's gotten huge, and that makes me believe that they getting ready to hurt people. They getting ready for the hurt syndicate because the Bucks obviously they had moved up to heavyweight, but they've never been particularly big guys. But they done got strong.
Yeah,
So
I can see that. I think that'll be. I'm curious to see like the timeline of like when a match like that would take place. Clearly, you want it on like one of your biggest stages. Like it'll be very interesting to see how that all comes. I'm kind of more so interested to see how they fit back into the fold of AEW because they kind of like. I mean, you could kind of see like they were like sort of writing them out, but like it kind of felt like abrupt a little bit. Like they kind of just vanished from TV.
They saw. I think also at the time we all were like a lot more hopeful about the Death Riders angle. So like it kind of really played into that because they was like, oh nah, it's getting crazy around here. I gotta go. They packed up that car and they said, oh no.
They say Brandon Cutler, you stay your ass here. Bye bye.
Exactly.
We ain't got nothing to do with you no more, pimp.
They packed up that car. They said, oh, I don't do this. They said, I don't do ghetto honey. I do not do that. Matthew Jackson started clutching his pearls. He said, absolutely not. I also want to say they was wearing the, the white cement threes for this?
Yeah, they was wearing the cement threes, yeah.
Class, I ain't gonna lie. These shoes recently, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that we done wearing the Reeboks pumps for every match because these shoes that they've been putting on, they back to putting that shit on, man. I appreciate it. But I feel like this was just a really great. They made Naito look really great, and
they did. They did.
I think that this Naito and Hiromu team really worked out for everybody involved. I think that one is giving Naito relief on his body. I think it's giving both guys, something that they've clearly wanted for a long time. Like there's clearly like a real relationship there and sentiment. Like it's not like they've been thrust together. Like they clearly genuinely want to do this. And I think third, it's giving Hiromu the opportunity to accomplish some of the heavyweight goals that he's always wanted to do as a junior. But I think also even further, it's giving the junior heavyweight division room to develop new stars without that big Hiromu cloud, of just like LOL Hiromu wins. And so this team has really, I feel like, worked out for everybody. And with them, like, winning World Tag League and, the heavyweight tag belts of like, clearly these two, at least from a business perspective, Naito and Hiromu, they are your moneymakers.
For sure.
Are, two of the biggest stars that you have. They sell so much merch. And so when it comes down to it, this is working out for everybody. I'm a huge fan. This was good. 9 minutes of pure fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And you talk about fun. Lord have mercy, boy. Hey man, let me.
We run low on time, so but gotta talk about this match.
So again, this is another like I keep referencing this off. Bruh, when I say me and Larry should have just started recording off rip.
We really should have.
Y'all would have had like the most nuanced listening experience. Like we went from politics. We talked about
fantasy book, Tanahashi, all of it, bro. Like,
but we talked about every goddamn thing, including Gabe Kidd, and I had said this. Gabe is now on that list of when somebody's in a big match. I'm locked in. No phone in my hand. No scrolling Twitter. No scrolling Instagram. I'm locked in. Like Gabe has I feel like he was always heading toward that trajectory, but I don't know.
It was his mouth. His mouth. But when he started talking less and letting the work speak,
for itself. Yes, 100%.
Everything really clicked.
100%.
And I will say, like his character, I've been following it for a while. Of you can tell, like there's been little notes here and there of him slowly starting to like, even like when he switched his gear. When he switches gear over to the Dr. Death Sweet Steve Williams type stuff and the boots of, and he like, really like starting to take things more seriously instead of just being unhinged. Cause I ain't gonna lie, Gabe used to just be talking, bro. Just start yelling. Everybody just
he'd be talking shit about whatever, bro. Like I'd be like, I ain't gonna lie. It was to a point when he was doing that where I was like I didn't see what the hype was. Like it was. I was talking about at that specific timeline that you were referring to. It was just like what the fuck am I supposed to be hyped about? Like because you curse a lot. Like, ooh, shit.
A lot of this guy, he knows how to use the F word. Ooh.
The match that he had. Again, we talked about this too. The match that he had with Kenny, man, like that was like. That I mean, again, I think Gabe was already making his way to this point, but I feel like that match with Omega, man, like that shit like kicked shit into overdrive, like it really did.
But what I really respect about Gabe is that like I've seen Kenny like make a star before and carry somebody to a match, but that wasn't that. Like,
it definitely wasn't that.
It was just as much of
yes,
and making that happen.
Yes.
As Kenny was, and what I think, and I saw it in the Kenny match, but I also saw it in this match too, of like, Gabe has made it so his big matches are not just matches, they're entire worlds. Like from the second his music hit, or even before, the crowd's already chanting, like the energy, you already know something crazy about to go down. Like for everybody is locked into like the smallest little details of like, oh, what gear is he about to have on? Does he have on the Lions mark? Him going into the crowd, them celebrating with him, like they cheering for him. Just like the energy was palpable. You could feel it through the TV. Then Suji come out. He come out in his big jean blaster. He rip off the tape. You see the trunks. Everybody said, wow. Wow.
Hey, bro. Now, these new crowds that New Japan are performing in front of, you can tell that they're starting to they're starting to endear themselves to Gabe. Like you can feel it. Like even when he comes out, you hear the little Gabe, but they be going crazy for him. And again, even with showing Gabe love, gotta show Shuji some love as well, because like it's kind of that conversation that you and I had earlier on this podcast where we was talking about like that pressure of like that Railroad Musketeer, or like just throwing that label, or like positioning certain individuals as like the future. It doesn't have to be the Railroad Musketeers, but who is the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling? You know what I'm saying? And Suji, he fucking stepped up, man, and he arose to the occasion. And you seeing that now. And I like the thing I like the most about this match is that it sort of, again, something else we talked about earlier. It made you feel something, and like especially that match. I mean, that point in the match where they was like trading strikes back and forth, and then like it seemed like Suji was about to put Gabe away, then it seemed like Gabe was about to put Suji away, and then when they finally got to the time limit draw, this is my favorite fucking part, Lyric, when they stood face to face after the time limit draw, and you could see that, like, you know, when they was like giving each other little headbutts and shit like that, and like, man, I was like,
and
see,
the crowd said, Shin,
man, Lyric. When people say real Graps, that is what that shit is about right there. Like they made, and then the best part about it was you could tell that the crowd like they kind of wanted Gabe to get the W. So to satisfy them, they did the post match or whatever, and then Gabe was the one that gave Suji that last little fuck down. You know what I'm saying? And then Gabe he laid him out. And before we got the house torture bullshit, but like that. Let's enjoy the good first before we get to the house of torture.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real. I'm not really mad about the house of torture stuff.
For real?
Okay. It set everything up of just like they just needed to define that War Dogs are split up, and I think like that was how they did it. And so like I'm not even mad about it. And I'm gonna be honest, this is how I know everything was good. At this point, I was so high off of like that match to where I don't know, anybody could have came out. I wouldn't have cared. Like, I think it took me forever to come down. Like, I felt like I was floating. Like, seriously, like I legitimately felt like I was floating. Like after that match, like they were just, they went so crazy. And I think like, it didn't even feel like the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship was on the line. It felt like they were genuinely fighting for the pride of New Japan. It felt like Lion Mark was on the line. Like you could feel how much they care about this organization. And honestly, as a fan, it reminded you how much you care about this organization, how much New Japan, like there's so many fans of people, especially American fans who are watching American wrestling, who were once disenchanted or about to give up or on wrestling altogether. And then you saw New Japan for the first time and it changed your life. And it reminded you of why you love this company. Yeah. Like they were going at it. And I will say this match was messy. And the spots weren't always pretty, but it added to the match because you could tell how much they wanted. Like you could tell like how dedicated that they were to it. And I will say my biggest thing about Suji that I've been scared of is his gas tank. I think sometimes in longer he gets winded. And we saw that a little bit here. But he's definitely gotten better. And so like that's just going to be a conditioning thing that he has to work through. This match actually ended up being longer than the the main event, maybe I think by like 1 or 2 minutes. But this was it reminded you of the days because the match, and we're gonna go ahead and skip to this one, but it reminds you of the days of having the Intercontinental Championship and then
That's a good point.
Of when they was both at the top of their game going bar for bar, like you'll have 2 5-star matches back to back. This was that. This was a return to the New Japan that we all know and love. And the only thing that could have possibly followed that was this.
For sure. But like I kind of wonder if all Gabe's matches are going to turn out to be like his big matches are going to turn out to be like this, like where it feels like exactly what you said. It feels like he's defending the honor of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And like, if that's the case, bro, I feel like it's going to come a point where it's going to be inevitable where you have to strap him up with something other than the strong openweight championship.
It's going to happen. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. And I think that like, he's to the point, but I also do want to give a credit to Osaka. Osaka is always that crowd for New Japan. They are always wild. And I think that they're one of the best wrestling cities in the world. Like they always deliver. Hell, New Beginning in Osaka last year, they delivered. Power Struggle. I remember Great O'Khan wrestled John Moxley and they had a crazy match in Osaka. They always deliver. Osaka always brings it. So that doesn't shock me. And the thing is, what really sold the house, and we have to remind ourselves, is even though that crowd gave every match all that they had, and they still managed to save everything.
This was the one right here.
They did Zach dirty. He came out no pop. They gave him nothing. And they ain't never, and like the thing is, New Japan crowds have never done Zach like that before.
Never.
Ooh, it was nasty.
Like so Goto, he did like I remember they said it on commentary, but I wanted to like just check, but he did grow up like really fucking close from the Edion Arena, Osaka. He grew up like really close from there. So like that, of course, that home base feeling, man. But like, I ain't gonna lie, I did not think Goto was gonna win. I really didn't. Like I thought that they were gonna, do the thing where you got a hot match, you got the hometown guy, and they was probably going tease it a little bit, and maybe you have some great false finishes, and he'll it looked like he'll get there, but I swear to God, when I seen this man hit that GTR, I was like, it's no fucking way. Like it is no way, dog.
I felt it. I think especially the way that tickets moved, like, and honestly, the first hints were there. The signs were there at the G1. Like, bro, fans started getting back behind Goto again, of just like, look, we gonna believe. And I think it all comes down. It really started, and it all comes from the accident of David Finlay getting injured last year in the New Japan Cup, and Goto ending up in the final versus Yota Tsuji, ended up winning Tokyo Sports Award, for best bout. And then for G1, he brings his kids out and Korakuen, and it's just like people really had already started, okay, like I'm believing in Goto again. But when they announced that Osaka match, and I think especially after, respectfully, I hate to say it, but after Shota and Zach had that terrible match in the Dome, it was on. Like, it was on. They said Goto's an option? Like, people said Goto's an option?
Tanahashi made that executive call. He was
like, call,
let's pack this shit up, man. It's time. Hey, Larry, I swear to God, that picture of Tana looking at Zach and Showdown.
I hate it. I'm sorry. It come with a GTR. I don't know what to tell you. It's really one of those things, and I think that also Zach got enough out of that run to where
he did.
He got 2 Tokyo Dome main events. He was Tokyo Sports MVP. He got, several great defenses. Like, he wasn't robbed.
Every title reign don't gotta be this like drawn out thing, man. It does not have to be. See, I think that's
people would kill for.
I think that's where a lot of people they make and especially because of the lineage of the championship. Like, you would think that it would be like this, but I mean, you know how often people criticize wrestling promotions for not striking while the iron is hot.
Absolutely.
This is one, like, bro, the fucking iron was on fire.
No, they would have hog-tied him. If he had won, they would have even too, like, if you watch, like, even afterwards when Goto leaves the ring with the championship, fans were about to jump the barricade just to touch him and like be around. We haven't seen that in years of like where a pure pandemonium, people on their feet shouting, crying, screaming, like it was nuts. They would have hogtied him.
Yeah, they definitely would have. Like if he didn't get to, like, especially at this point, being the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, I feel like it would have put him like in a weird ass position where you kind of would have pigeonholed him, and there would have like really been no way out. Like, I mean, especially at this point in his career, I think you kind of needed to lean into him. But like, I ain't gonna lie, I did not expect this man to pull out the win. Like, I was like genuinely surprised. Like, I did and jumped out my fucking seat when I was watching it. Like, I was like, I thought it was a chance it could happen, but I wasn't expecting it to happen. I was like, maybe they could lean that way, but like, dude, especially when you see like the way that crowd was rocking, they wanted that shit so bad, man.
I was in pure shock. Like,
I'm telling you,
the first time I watched it, I was in shock. Like, I know other people's like crying or anything. Like, I didn't shed a tear, and when I rewatched it, then I started crying. I said, "Oh my God, this is real!" Oh my God, we go. Yeah, my daughter doing good in school. Got my kids in here. I said, "This shit means something to me." Oh,
no, hey, you wanna know the funniest part was when they when they zoomed the camera on Goto's son, right? This motherfucker stone face, right? No stone. And I remember I saw somebody tweet it. They was like, "Oh yeah, that's the next demon right there."
Oh yeah, the demon is on. I think
little Goto Jr. about to be the next world champ. I'm telling you.
I also loved in this match. This was Zach's best match. One of Zach's best matches. No, his best match since Danielson at I know some people think it's better. I still put it up. That Danielson match, that was my match of the year last year. So
But with the new beginning in
yeah,
Osaka,
New Beginning
yeah,
Osaka.
that was fire.
But
That was fire.
this is on what certainly on par with that. And I love seeing Zach wrestle his match. Like he absolutely tortured him. He was aggressive, but he still stuck to his style. And I think that was what my biggest thing about the Wrestle Kingdom match. I was so frustrated. Like, feel like Zach was trying to adapt to what other people were doing. Like, nah, like he was demonic in this match. Like he was the dream killer. He was the perfect foil. And the way that Goto came from underneath and like just he kept making you believe, man, this was just amazing. Like this 2-match stretch, hell, that 5-match stretch, that end of New Beginning Osaka was nasty, disgusting. The New Japan Pro Wrestling is back. And
they definitely are.
Because they're back, we're just going quickly. New Japan Cup, the lineup is out. Early predictions.
Wasn't it like I think we're going to get like these, I guess legacy matches, however you want to describe about the way first. Like it'll be, the Tanahashi match, the 53rd anniversary show, and then we'll go to the Nagata match. I think Nagata's gonna get his shot right after. Yeah, and then I think that's when you'll start to see, shit pick up. And of course we're gonna talk like you got to pull it up right now. He gonna have his challenger at Sakura Genesis on April 5th, and I'm looking at the field right now, man. You kind of got me going with the Yuya Uemura. I ain't gonna lie. Like when I'm just looking at the field,
I'm stuck between Yuya and David Finlay. I think it's gonna be Yuya or David Finlay finally.
Finley's a good one. Like the thing is about the New Japan Cup, it always felt like this was like a semblance to the viewers that okay, this person who wins this tournament, they might not be champion by the end of the year, but there's like a high chance that at some point within the next 1 to 2 to 3 years, like they will be on top. And I think, or sometimes even before that, depending on who the individual is. But like with Tsuji, when Tsuji won the New Japan Cup last year, that was like a launching point for him. And now we fast forward a year later and he is on his way up the card as the global heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? I think it's always, again, it's depending on the individual, because sometimes you win the cup and then you might get it, but I don't think they're going to do Goto like that, especially after fucking 22 years. Goto ain't losing. No time soon. But like, I'm thinking about names who like will be like, I always love suspenses in my title defenses in terms of like, the individual who is challenging, like I like to believe that there is sometimes a chance that they could dethrone said champion. Even though I don't believe it's gonna happen this early, I still like to try to immerse myself in that. But yeah, I could definitely see Finley. I can definitely see Uemura. I'm pretty sure Zach's gonna make his way to at least the semifinals. Like I could see him making his way.
I don't know.
You think Zach might get bounced early?
Interesting is going to be interesting is that Oiwa match.
Oh yeah,
like,
he
so he's almost certainly going to face Oiwa.
Yeah, yeah. Chase ain't got no fucking chance over there, but but yeah, Zach versus now. See, Zach versus Oiwa, that's gonna be a good one. But you want to know what?
Great one, yeah.
It might be best to go Oiwa, because I mean, especially when you just come off a long run, you can afford to eat some pins,
Absolutely.
So I can see that too. Yeah, I think those, I think those might be the people for sure.
I'm trying to figure out if I want Zach versus Gabe or Oiwa versus Gabe more, because that's probably where we're gonna get. Like I think that match on the 15th is going to be either Oiwa versus Zach Oiwa versus Gabe, or it's going to be Zach versus Gabe, and that's going to be interesting.
You want to know? I think I prefer to see Gabe versus Oiwa.
Me too. I mean, but also at the same time we've never, especially with the British scene being what it is, Zach has always been on top, and so like with Gabe is now like a top guy now. So I think it will be interesting to see like that dynamic shift, and even too of just even going into like that upper bracket of Yoda, Suji, and Yuya have so much history, but like David Finley, like I said, he was supposed to win this tournament last year. Like he really was. He was supposed to be the guy. Like what I do really like about this, at least on the left hand side, everything is really unpredictable. Like this is a really unpredictable, I would say, New Japan Cup. There's several people who could really win. I don't really think anybody on the right side has a chance to win. But I think like for finalists, damn, I don't know. You know what? Because it's so open, and I think that they put most of the real contenders, I think that they should really just go for it. And I think Bolton Oleg should at least go to the quarters.
I can see that. I can say, hey, I'm looking at that right hand side. Hey, Lyric, that Oleg versus Shingo.
Got him.
That shit about to feed. That shit about to feed. That shit about to feed families, right? I cannot wait for that. That's
I'm also interested to see who goes over for Newman versus Naito. Like I think that they've wrestled each other a couple times too.
I think we talked about that earlier. We had brought that up like just in like a spurt of a conversation. Like I don't think it's that definitive that Naito gonna go over Newman, man. I don't think it's that black and white. Yeah, I don't think it's that black and white, man. Plus, I really would like to see Newman versus Cobb. I would like to see that.
Especially if this is like Cobb's last, New Japan Cup. I would like to see him up and, have some singles matches against, other United Empire members. That would be cool. And if he advances, hell, he might reach, because now when I'm looking at this upper bracket, it's a good chance. I'm not saying that it's a done deal, especially with El Phantasmo having the belt, but I think Great O'Khan advancing it could be very real, because I think that they're going to want to run that rematch with Shota.
Yeah, I think that just makes sense, like storyline wise. It makes sense to do that. Plus, when you give him when you give O'Khan a win over Phantasmo, I think that's probably a setup. Probably for the
TV title,
for the TV title. So yeah, that just makes sense storyline wise to do that, and of course to run the match back with you would know when I'm in a like this fucking. I mean, it's like minuscule in the grand scheme of things, but like this fucking new show, the haircut. Like I wonder what the fuck he about to look like when he come back. That's gonna be interesting.
Me too. Oh my god, I want to know what he gonna wear. And like I want to know. I genuinely want to know.
You think he gonna change up the whole wardrobe, or you think it's gonna be like just the hairstyle?
He has to, or else I'm hog tying him. I've had it. I'm gonna be honest. We gonna I'm telling you. I might tell you a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie. All right, last predictions. What is your final, and who's your winner?
Man, I'm stuck between. On the left side, I'm stuck between Finley, Uemura, and Gabe. Yeah, I'm stuck between those three. On the right side, in terms of finals, Cobb. I think they're gonna let Drilla. I think they're gonna put Drilla over Ishii. I don't think they would have made him. Yeah, I don't think they would have made him a transition to heavyweight just to have him bounced in the first round. I don't see that happening. I'm gonna go. You go first, Lyric, because I'm
gonna be honest. I don't think it's gonna be a foreigner versus a foreigner, and I think that's what, or maybe it will be, because like it's pretty foreigner heavy on the right side. But I think I'm gonna go David Finley versus.
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? It's
bro, I don't know. Like that right side is difficult. Because I don't think. Well, maybe Shingo advances. Maybe David Finley versus Shingo, or David Finley versus. Because like, if this was a couple years ago, I would say Naito, but I don't think Naito gonna go that far in the tournament, and he shouldn't.
Nah, not in 2025.
But I think it's also very dependent on who is Shota when he comes back. I don't know. Like, is he gonna lose again, or is they gonna rebuild him and like try to make him win? I don't know. I'm just gonna throw this out there. David Finley versus Shingo Takagi. And David Finley is my winner. But I think that David Finley or Yuya or Gabe probably could very much win.
Hey, Larry, do you think we get the Gabe Finley match in the? You think that's gonna happen? In this,
You're so right.
What's that?
You're
The semis?
so right.
The semis, the Gabe Finley match. They've been sort of teasing for a long time, like some type of.
You're so right.
I can see that.
I could be into that. I would be into that.
Gabe. So yeah, Gabe. I can see Gabe Finley in the semifinals, and if I got to pick between them, I think Finley gonna beat him.
I think so too.
I think Finley gonna beat him, man. And then,
but this won't be their last match.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that will also be like the impetus to lead to this. Who's really the man in this War Dogs?
The real
thing,
leader.
The real leader. So I think Finley. Yeah. So I rock with Finley, and on the opposite end, I'm stuck between Shota and Shingo. I can see.
I agree.
But I see. I don't see them going back to Shota so soon after they just. But but the whole point of giving him this rehabilitation is to, you know what I'm saying. But like, are you gonna go that far that quick just to have him?
Well, they gave him a Tokyo Dome main event after everybody booed him. So yes, they very much could.
Yeah, I can see. So yeah, okay. You know what? I'm a rock with Finley versus Shota in the final. That's what I'm gonna rock with. I'm sticking with that. Finley versus Shota. That's what I'm going.
Good pick. I think that's a very good one. And
hey, but that Finley Gabe match, boy.
I would like to see it. I would like to see it. But I will say, this year compared to other years, there's a lot of options. And I don't think that there's at least, I would say, 5 good options for New Japan Cup winners. And I think I think that it's a couple guys, especially on that left-hand side, you really can't go wrong with. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on the left, I would say, that you can't go right or wrong with. I think Finley, Uemura, Oiwa, or Kid could really win. Yoda won last year, so I don't see him winning. And I think Evil gonna do some bullshit, to be honest. Like they're probably gonna do Evil versus Finley. I could see some House of Torture shenanigans getting Tsuji disqualified or something. That's just how it is.
Facts. But yeah, I think that's a good one. Like I was looking at the bracket and I'm like, oh shit, we probably get Finley versus Gabe. That shit about to, boy. I'm telling, like, I'm okay now. I'm the fucking, what's that? The 16th. Yeah, that shit need to go ahead. Hurry up.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like literally, even too. Like I'm looking forward to Zach versus Oiwa. Like that's really big team fan. That's going to be really good. You know, you're gonna have Yuya versus Sonata, which could be a good match if Sonata leaves all the shenanigans at home. Yeah. This is a really good New Japan. We could do Shingo versus what is it? Shingo versus oh my god, what is it? Shingo versus Bolton Oleg, which is going to be crazy.
That's about to be heat. That's about to be crazy. Like, you want to know what? I feel like I feel like what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about those guys like the Shingo and the Ishis. Like, I can see Oleg falling into that line of being like one of those like early never open weight warriors.
100%. No, he's gonna win that belt. He's gonna win that belt at some point, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was this year. I would not be shocked if he wins the never open weight. And honestly, they're gonna get him on that Wrestle Kingdom card soon. He might be in that never open weight match for January 4th because Tanahashi loves him.
He loves Oleg. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell you love him.
No.
But yeah, I can see that.
But we are finally at the end. This is only 2 hours and 19 recorded, but this is like 4.
This is like a 6 hour it's like a 6 hour conversation right here, man. Y'all ain't seen nothing.
Absolutely no, and half of it could probably never be released. But I digress. Thank you so much for joining me, Andrew. After Secure Genesis, we got to get you back, and talk about like how all this, absolutely shaped out. But thank you so much. Where can people find you?
And they can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ADThompson__. I got some old interviews up on my YouTube channel. Oh, am I lagging? Uh-oh. Hold on. Wait, am I still here? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if I was lagging or not. I didn't know if my thing was tripping. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 80 Thompson __. Got some old interviews up on my YouTube channel. Hopefully I get back into that. And you can check my written work out at over at postwrestling.com, man. And appreciate Miss Lyric Swinton for having me on, man. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to her. One of the best people in our field. Somebody whose work I always look forward to seeing, and somebody I'm looking forward to having these further great conversations with, even just outside of wrestling, man. It was truly an honor getting to talk to you, Lyric. So thank you for having me on.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. You can find me at Lyric Wrestling on Instagram and Twitter, and you can subscribe to my YouTube at Lyric Swinton. Lots of fun stuff coming out. It's still Black History Month, and so I'm excited. Last week, Danny and I had an interview with Maya World just come out about her Mania Dream Match versus Miyu Watanabe. So go check that out. That's over on Body Slam's YouTube. But yeah. I'm so excited that about what New Japan is doing right now. I'm excited to continue talking about it. But until the next time, I shall see you all later. Bye.